this is the second part of the video where we will be solving 50 Azure MCQs. So without further ado, let's just start. So question number 26 states that if you want to develop an IoT solution, you are looking for a service that will help you connect, manage and deploy your devices. You will opt for which among the following services? So basically, as I had mentioned earlier, Azure provide different services for different type of solution that you are pursuing. Okay, like if you have an ML solution, if you have an AI solution, in similar way, it has few services for IoT one. So over here we have options. We have Azure Central, Azure Storage Service, and Azure ML Studio, and over here it is Azure Sphere. I have missed an S over here. So basically, if you want to, connect, manage, and deploy your devices, the right thing is Azure IoT Central. So over here, I have created a kind of a cheat sheet. Using this, you can answer any Azure IoT related question in the exam if you have. If they are asking you for a secure way of communication, if the communication is their goal, if they want a service which will help them to connect to devices for a good way of communication, then they have to go with IoT Hub. Okay, and if they want to do a development, if they want to create a solution, if they want to start the whole solution from scratch, the answer is IoT Central. If security is your main concern, if you want to make sure that the data that is coming from all the IoT devices that you have deployed or used, then IoT Sphere is your answer. I won't talk in deep about them, but you can refer uh, the course that I have uploaded on the platform. So yes, this is a cheat sheet for IoT. Like for communication is your purpose, then you have to go with IoT Hub. If development is your purpose, then you have to go with IoT Central. And if security is your main concern, then you have to go with Azure Sphere. Moving ahead to question number 27. You are asked to develop a virtual agent for your shopping website. A bot service which can understand natural language processing. The options we have is as your bot service, as your functions, as your virtual machine, and none of these. So as your virtual machine cannot help you to create a virtual agent, and as your functions are basically event triggered functions, they do not have anything to do with creating a virtual agent. Yes, the answer is option number A, as your bot service. Azure Bot Service is basically an Azure service app. When we discussed that Azure has many templates, so within Azure app service, we have a bot template in which we can use cognitive analysis, natural language processing, video interpretation, image interpretation, multiple options. They already have APIs for them, which you can use to create a virtual agent for your application. So the answer is option number A, Azure Bot Service. Moving further, which of the following as a service make sure that all your resources follow policy compliance? I'm sorry. So the thing is that when we deploy different kind of things on Azure, the cloud owner, that is Microsoft, is also responsible for making sure that your application follow policies and standard that are meant by the government for saving the data, for hosting an application, multiple things. So we have Azure portal, Azure security center, Azure CLI. So the answer is the policy compliance is made sure by Azure security center. You have a dashboard within Azure security center where you can check your score. What is your security score? What is your policy and compliance score? So it also gives you suggestions out of which you can increase your policy. For example, your government does not allow you to save credit card information of customer, but your application is still doing that. So this is one of the example. So you need to stop saving customer sensitive information within your application or on Microsoft's cloud. So all these security breaches are pinpointed by as your security center, which you can work on to increase your security score. Moving ahead to question number 29. If you have a resource lock on a resource group, if you add any resource to it, will it inherit resource locks automatically? True or false? For example, if I have 5 virtual machine under one resource group, and if I'm trying to lock the resource group, I want, anyone to, authenticate themselves before accessing it, then, I can apply a lock. So the answer is true. If, you are trying to lock your resource group, all the resources present within the resource group will inherit those resource locks. Question number 30. Your enterprise is working on an application. They want to host the same of Azure same on Azure cloud. Which of the following service will they use to do the same? So we have Azure Functions, Azure Databricks, Azure Monitor, and Azure App Service. Whenever you have an question that states you want to host an application, always remember the answer will be Azure App Service. Azure App Service is actually created to host application on the cloud. Before we had discussed one MCQ that was related to Azure bot service, where you were supposed to create and host a virtual agent for your application. In that too, we chose Azure bot service. Azure bot service is a service that is created upon Azure app service. So whenever there's a thing called as application and you want to move to the cloud or host on the cloud, your answer will be Azure app service. So these are few exam tips which will allow you to understand what each of them is about. So when we talk about Azure Function provides platform for serverless coding. So if in exam it is asked to you that your enterprise requests you or reaches out to you to create an application using serverless coding, so the answer will be Azure Functions. The second thing is we have a big data analysis service for machine learning. For the same, we use Azure Databricks. Moving ahead, we have something called as Azure Monitor. Okay, so Azure Monitor continuously analyzes all the resources and services that you use. So, it detects if we have any threat, it detects if, a specific IP address is trying to do an attack or someone is observing the traffic. So basically, Azure Monitor is an AI based tool provided by Azure itself to detect if any issue is occurred. Basically, it increases the security of the cloud. Then moving ahead, we have Azure App Service, which is used to host web applications. Question number 31. Dash is a desktop virtualization provided by Microsoft as a platform as a service offering. Okay, we have Azure Server, Azure Virtual Machine, and Windows Virtual Desktop. So the answer is Windows Virtual Desktop. Recently, when the cloud era is booming and many people are trying to work from multiple devices, some people use tab, some people use their mobile phone, some uses laptop, and uses multiple laptops, sometimes here, sometimes there, but security is a main concern. So virtualization of the whole operating system, virtualization of the whole desktop is provided by Microsoft as a PaaS offering called Windows Virtual Desktop. Over here, the file structure, all the softwares that you have installed are virtualized. So whenever you try to install that operating system on any machine, you will be able to retain the whole data and it will look like the same that was it was previously. You want to deploy 5 different types of resources as resource group within 8 different availability zones. Which of the following will help you to do the same? Over here you can see that we have to do multiple deployments, like we have to deploy 5 types of resources within 8. That means we have to altogether deploy 40 resources. So doing them one by one can be a very hideous task, can take too much of time and effort of an individual. And there can be a possibility that consistency cannot be maintained to do so if we try to deploy each and every one of the resource individually. So, to save the effort, we have something called as your ARM template. Okay, these are the templates that are used to, deploy multiple resources among multiple availability or regions. And they ensure, they do not try, they ensure to, maintain the consistency within the deployment. Like if you have Linux virtual machine, all the virtual machine that will be created will be of Linux. If you have 5 NSG groups within the first availability zone, all the other availability zones will also have 5 NSG. So this is made sure that standard and consistency are maintained among or within the enterprise. Okay, in a SaaS, you do have to worry about software compliance or expiration or copyright issue. So basically, the question states that in a SaaS solution, you do not have to worry. You do have to worry about software's compliance issue. I guess I have done some, mistake in typing the question. What it is trying to say is that when you try to use a software as a service solution, you do not have to worry about software's compliance or expiration or copyright or anything. The software is maintained by the cloud owner, that is Azure. The software is time to time updated. The software copyright and certification and SLA and what not, all the things are taken care by Azure itself. You only have to use the software for the time you need to use the software. Question number 34. You can create and deploy a virtual machine in Azure using your mobile phone. The answer is true, it is possible. You can open the Azure PowerShell or Azure CLI using Azure's mobile application. And you can put your command and you can easily create a virtual machine using your mobile phone. Which of the following service enables single sign-on facility for multiple Microsoft services like Office 365, Teams, and Outlook? Before answering this question or moving, forward this question, I want you to, I guess all of you have, used some or the other day, Google or Gmail to create your email ID. So if you have noticed, whenever you try to create or use a Google email ID, you are able to sign into multiple applications using only one set of credentials. You can sign into YouTube using same email ID and password combination. You can sign into Gmail using same email ID and password. You can sign into Google Sheets, Google Docs, and multiple Google services using one single set of credentials. In similar manner, the single sign-on facilities are same for Microsoft. Using same set of credentials, you can log into Microsoft Teams, you can log into Microsoft 365, you can look into Outlook, your mailbox and whatnot. So this is possible because of Azure Active Directory. The single sign-on credential pair that we mentioned are saved within Azure Active Directory as a key value pair, which create tokens and they pass on to multiple applications which allow you to get into them in an efficient way. When it comes to enterprise level, this ensures that every single associate is able to log in efficiently without doing multiple attempts to log in into multiple applications. This also allows the role-based access control, multi-factor authentication, and single sign-on. All these things are possible because of presence of Azure Active Directory. Question number 36. You are asked to encrypt all the data that is present as traffic within all NSG. How will you encrypt internal traffic? Okay, so Within network security group, if we talk about, that is we are talking about internal traffic. Okay, and what the question says that you have to encrypt all the data that is present within it. Okay, so as your virtual machine cannot be the answer, as your virtual machine has nothing to do with encrypting the data, as your firewall can you can be used to filter the data but not encrypt it, and adding to it as your firewall is meant for external traffic, not internal traffic. Over here our aim is to encrypt internal traffic. So the answer is as your policy. As an admin of multiple associates or multiple subscribers, you can write an as your policy that whenever a specific data is exchanged within the internal NSG group, you are supposed to encrypt it. If the application does not is not unable to um, encrypt it, or sends out without encrypting it, a alert will be sent out. Question number 37. You want to generate a report for cost cutting for all resources that are being used in testing environment. Which of the following as your service will help you to organize and retrieve all such resources? So basically this question we are targeting to organize or aggregate or retrieve all the resources that are within testing environment. In such cases, as your tags can be useful. You can tag each and every resource that is being used in test environment with a specific word or keyword, and when you try to search using that keyword, all the resources will be jotted down. So over here the answer is as your tags. Okay, so if you want to do anything related to organizing or retrieving a specific types of resources, you can always organize them using as your tags. Azure provide DDoS attack prevention. The answer is true. Azure provides DDoS attack prevention. So this is an overview about it. So um, what is the full form of DDoS? Is distributed denial of service. So this comes under external attack prevention. It has nothing to do with the traffic that is being passed within the NSG groups, or internal traffic that is going on within Azure. So over here we have an attacker and we have customer. Both of them reach out or send their packets to Azure, uh, what I can say as your pathway or expressway, and all these traffic that move within the Azure are first filtered by Azure DDoS protection. If you notice that the traffic that is sent by the attacker is filtered out, and only the legit, the right traffic is being sent to virtual network that is within inside. So basically this is how using Azure DDoS protection, Azure saves your application or your enterprise data from external attack. Question number 39. Which of the following services in Azure continuously monitors for any defect or security breach? The answer is Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor is basically continuously make sure that all the resources are not under any security breach, or there is no threat. So basically, as the name says, Azure Monitor. Azure boards, Azure pipelines, and Azure test plans are part of which of the following Azure offering? So you know Azure Artifacts is not the answer, Azure GitHub is not the answer, Azure DevOps is the answer. So in nowadays agile work culture is so famous that people want to use Jira board, they want to use pipeline, they want CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development. All these things require a proper setup. We need boards to put all the tickets out there, and we can see what all things are assigned, what all things are under to do condition, what all things are to be done and stuff. And as your pipelines are basically used to ensure CI/CD process where small artifacts are created, and they are then deployed in different kind of environments and stuff. So the answer is Azure DevOps. So Azure artifacts and GitHub, they also come under Azure DevOps. So this is what Azure DevOps looks like. Like if you ever log into Azure DevOps, you will be able to use Azure boards to plan, track, or discuss work among your team members. You will be able to use Azure pipelines, which will build, test, and deploy your CI/CD work. And you will be able to use Azure repos to make sure that your code is distributed locally and also on the cloud. Then we have something called as Azure test plans, which is specifically used for testing purpose, where you can create your test cases and you will have the output in test reports and stuff. Then we have Azure artifacts. These are basically the packages which can be used by your pipelines and so on. Then we have a question that says availability set are used to share workload and availability zone are used to increase availability of services. So when it comes to Azure, we have two things. One thing is availability set and one thing is availability zone. Okay. So for example, if you have your application and with time your business is booming, like today you got 10 orders and tomorrow you get 20 and the next day you'll get 100. So you can see the workload is increasing on your application, and your application is only able to process the request to the limited extent. In that case you can use availability set, in which you can increase the power, you can increase the processing power, you can increase the storage and stuff. So in that case, availability set, you can deploy a virtual machine in more than one availability set to share the workload. And we have something called as availability zone. These are basically used to decrease the downtime during a disaster or something, where you can deploy in one or more regions. Like you can also have your application deployed in India, you can also have your application being deployed in US and different countries or different states within a country or so on. So the statement which what is trying to say is correct. So the answer is A, true. Question number 42. Your company wants to reduce pricing of Azure service, which they currently use. Which of the following things you should do to achieve your goal? In Azure, you it is a pay as you go model. So you pay about for the resources the way you use them. If you use them for a day, you will pay for a day. If you use them for a month, you will pay for a month. If you use them for a year, you will pay for a year. But Azure does not care if you are using the resources or not. If you have opened or rented an instance, they will charge you. It is your responsibility to delete the resources when your work is done, because you will be charged for the storage of the resources if you do not delete the resource after your work is done. So it is very important for you to delete even a resource group, even a NSG group, even a Azure app service, even if you do not have a deployment or a virtual machine that is running on them. So the option says delete app service plan if no app is running on it. Yes, if you want to save your money, you should delete app service plan if there is no app is running on it. Delete unused IP addresses. Yes, if you do not delete the IP addresses, you will still be charged for as they will be under your name, or they will be under your hood. Delete unused virtual machine. Yes, you should delete the unused virtual machine, because if you do not delete the unused virtual machine, you will be still paying for the storage cost of these virtual machine. So all the options that are provided are correct. So option D is right. All of above. Moving ahead, question number 43. Your enterprise wants to increase availability of application. What should you suggest? Deploy the application in multiple regions, create more network security group, deploy more availability set. So the option C can increase the functionality or the power of the application. So if you want to distribute the workload, then you can go ahead with option number C. Create more network security group. Network security group's main purpose is to increase internal security for the traffic that moves to and fro within the resources that is present inside the cloud. So network security group is only related to internal traffic security. It has nothing to do with availability. Option number A says deploy the application multiple regions. So the answer is option number A. If you want to increase the availability of the application, then you should deploy the application multiple regions. So even if that one region goes down because of some natural calamity or security, sorry, electricity downtime, or data center goes under any threat or something, your application will be available on other region. You want to maintain deployment consistency among all Azure services within your enterprise. What will you do? So, if you have a huge enterprise and you deploy multiple resources all over it within different teams and within different grids and within different domains, it is very important for it to be in a standard way. The consistency is a key. Consistency is very important in such cases. So the option says use Azure tags in deployment. This cannot be done as your tags are for organizing the resources. They have nothing to do with deployment. Use Azure resource management templates. Yes, you can use ARM templates to deploy all the resources. ARM templates will make sure that consistency is maintained. Deploy container using ACI. No, this again has nothing to do with consistency. So the answer is option number B. Wait. No, the thing I have highlighted is wrong. I did a mistake over here. The right answer is option number B. Moving forward, which of the following offer hot, cool, and archive storage of unstructured data? So there's a thing in Azure where you can decide depending upon your need of the data that if you want to, save it in hot storage, do you want to save it in cool storage, or if you want to archive the storage. Okay, for example, if I have some amount of data and I do not need it for a year, okay, so I can, save it in archive storage. The storage cost of archive storage is less as compared to hot and cool. But if I have some data that I have to retrieve within a week, maybe tomorrow, then I can go with hot. The retrieval speed is high in hot, the retrieval speed is slow in archive. That is the reason archive is cheaper than hot and cool storage. So such things are offered in Azure under Azure Blob Storage. Which among the following is cloud-based implementation of a popular data analytical platform called Hadoop? As Microsoft has integrated with multiple companies to make sure everything is available on cloud. In a similar manner, we have a service of Hadoop that is used for data analysis, which is present on cloud, that is Microsoft Cloud, with a name of Azure HD Insight. If you ever have big data in your application, which is on cloud or on premises, you can easily transfer the big data to HD Insight and you can do your data analysis on it. You can apply different algorithms, you can get out different kind of insights and graphs and whatnot. So it is a Hadoop offering which is present on Microsoft Azure, which is used for data analysis purpose, that is Azure HD Insight. Which of the following is a Azure SaaS service which is used to monitor IoT devices? We have Azure Sphere, Azure IoT Hub, IoT Central. So the answer is a SaaS offering for IoT which is used to monitor the devices is called Azure IoT Central. We have done a discussion on these three before, so I won't repeat it again. Question number 48. All Azure resources within your enterprise are under policy and compliance. All resources follow security hygiene and secured with good threat protection. All this is possible because of which Azure service. Basically, the question says all the security aspects that are already applied on your Azure resources are due to which of the following: Azure Data Center, Azure Security Center, Azure DDoS Protection. As I have mentioned multiple times, Azure DDoS Protection is meant for external threat protection. It has nothing to do with the resources that are already present within your cloud. So the answer is Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center is a tool which makes sure that all the resources on the cloud are under policy and compliance depending upon the country or the region on which your application is already deployed, and they follow security hygiene. They are under good threat protection. Moving forward, token for RBAC and MFA are generated using which of the following? Token for role-based access control and multi-factor authentication is made sure by Azure Active Directory. Whenever you see the word single sign-on, role-based access control, or multi-factor authentication, always remember Azure Active Directory is the backbone for them. Dash is a guarantee by Microsoft for availability and uptime of services. The answer is service level agreement, Azure total cost of ownership, or Azure pricing. So the guarantee given by Microsoft is called service level agreement. If Microsoft is unable to provide you availability of uptime present in SLA, service level agreement, then you can get a compensation from Microsoft for the same. So over here we end all the 50 MCQs. Do not forget to give me good rating or good reviews. They help me to work more hard. Thank you for watching this and attending the whole video. I appreciate your effort. And if you are, going to give your AZ exam in upcoming time, all the best for the same. If you pass, make sure that you reach out to me on a social media, on YouTube, Udemy, Instagram, or whenever, and let me know that I played a small part in it. Again, all the best for your exam.